if you took a general purpose loan and you've paid it down, it was $50,000, you've paid it down to, let's say, $35,000, you can go and get a new loan. However, you're limited to the difference between the current balance and the maximum 12 months ago. So whatever your loan balance, if it was $42,000 12 months ago, then you'd be able to borrow $8,000.
401k loan might be, a swear word or profanity in your household, but if it's used correctly, it's an incredible tool.
Welcome to Passive Income Pilots, where pilots upgrade their money. This is the definitive source for personal finance and investment tactics for aviators. We interview world-renowned experts and share these lessons with the flying community. So if you're ready for practical knowledge and insights, let's roll. Welcome back to Passive Income Pilots, everyone. I'm your host, Tait and Ryan, here with my buddy Ryan Gibson. How you doing?
Good to see you, Tait. Happy to be back. Excited to talk about the 401k retirement plan today and all the fun tricks we have up our sleeves about it.
So I'm going to kick this conversation off to you to start us out. But before we do that, I just want to touch on, we get a lot of questions on once we hear about self-directed IRAs and being able to invest in alternatives, including real estate syndications through IRAs. A lot of people, myself included, will go to their 401k provider at their current employer, their airline, and say, hey, can I roll over all or a portion of this into a self-directed IRA and do that? And the answer is no, usually. I believe some companies, I know for a fact Boeing will allow you to take a 50% of your 401k while you're an active employee there and move it over. But our airline does not. I don't think yours does. It's kind of uncommon. So anyway, let me kick this off to you. There are some things that you can do, and we're going to talk about that today.
Tait, that's a good point. And if you're wondering about self-directed IRAs, we recorded an entire episode on that. You can go back to episode number 9. We actually brought in the CEO and I think founder of Preferred Trust Company who can walk you through exactly how you set up a self-directed IRA. And today, though, we're talking about 401ks because I just actually got a call from a pilot who said, hey, Ryan, I'm a little bit scared about where the market's going, this debt ceiling talk and the uncertainty in the stock market. And I want to diversify. I want to start investing in real estate and, do some of the things that you do guys to do at Spartan, that Tait does at Turbine Cap. So he said, hey, what are my options? And so I love that you brought up the fact that you can't take it out of the current plan. So this was an Alaska pilot. And he was like, oh, can I go to my Fidelity 401k and pull thing out? No, the answer is no. I've already run this to ground.
Right.
But you can borrow against your 401k and you can get funds that way. Or you can use cash, obviously. And if you've left a regional and you've got that old dusty 401k, you can use that to roll into a self-directed IRA. That's more episode 9.
That can be rolled over. Yes.
That can be rolled over. Like this pilot specifically was at American Eagle and left some of it and didn't roll it over. So he could actually go and find that money and roll it into a self-directed IRA with a custodian that allows that, and that would be acceptable. So let's talk about what the 401k plan can do on this episode. And as we know, we're getting into a really nice contract-rich environment where pay is increasing, and pilots have to be aware that you're going to max out your 401ks if you're smart, right? If you're diligent about saving. And 16% contribution from most airline employers now, you're going to fill up that cup of maximum contributions amount. And Tait, I believe it's $66,000 total can go into your 401k every year. And $22,500 of that comes from the pilot or the employee.
Can come from the pilot, yes.
That's right. And, some airlines might be a little bit different or whatever, but the IRS allows the employee to contribute up to $22,500 a year. And then the employer fills up the rest through the 16%. And we did some calculation before the call. I believe if you're maxing out your 401k, putting everything in there, I believe it's $330 grand a year, right? Is that what it is?
Well, so this is where it gets complicated. So if you're making less than $330,000 a year gross, then you can put in the entire $22,500 that the IRS allows the pilot to put in. The problem comes into effect when people start making over $330,000. This is, you're considered a highly compensated employee, and you run into the IRC 401A 17 compensation limit, which is $330,000. So what this rule states is that the company can contribute to a 401k plan up until you make that in gross income. As soon as you go over $330,000 gross, the company cannot take that percentage, that 15, 16, 17%, whatever your contribution is from your airline, they can't pay it to you into the 401k anymore. So it spills over into your paycheck. And for us, there's a little bit more nuance here, where if you're getting up into that, $330,000 range, you don't even have room to fit the $22,500 in. So what you would want to do is back off your contribution, let the company fill it up, and then turn your contributions back on so that you can fill it up. At my airline, we've got a kind of a confusing thing where if you fill it up first, your spillover will go into a HRA account, a health retirement savings account. And if you do not fill it up first, then it'll spill into your paycheck, which is nice. But before we get too far in the weeds on that, Ryan, we want to talk about some loan options, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about the 401k loan. Now, I'm going to say this right out of the gate. A 401k loan is a bad idea if you're going to buy a boat or if you're going to buy a plane.
Agreed.
If you're financing your flat screen TV with it, right?
Yeah.
401k loan might be, a swear word or profanity in your household, but if it's used correctly, it's an incredible tool.
Absolutely.
And I've personally benefited from 401k loans. Tait, we caught up before. I know you have as well. I've used it. So let's go ahead. Yeah.
I've had one out almost the entire time I've been at my airline, which is 13 years. So it's as soon as one gets paid off, another one comes out, and it's a revolving door. It's great.
Yep. And not only is it an awesome tool to diversify away from the stock market or get some extra cash out of your plan, but it's a way to put more money into your plan.
Exactly.
Every single year to the tune of over $20,000 a year potentially. And we're going to talk about that. And what's great is the 401k loan doesn't cost you anything at all. You don't pay any money to take a 401k loan. And you might be thinking, well, they said they were going to charge me interest on my 401k loan. You pay yourself the interest. And typically the way 401k loans are structured is you have to borrow the money to yourself. So you're literally taking it from one pocket and putting it in the other at a rate of prime. And the prime rate today, as of this episode, Thursday, what is today? Thursday, June
25th.
Whatever this, May 25th today.
May 25th.
We're recording. But this is gonna record or play.
In the
future.
That's right.
But anyway, as of today, the prime rate is 8.25%. 8.25%. And usually 401k loans are prime plus 1%. So your 401k loan to yourself is going to be 9.25%. And you may go, oh my God, 9.25%, that is so expensive. I don't want to do a 401k loan because that interest rate is crazy. But you're paying it to yourself, and the money that you're giving back to your 401k, that interest expense is in addition, that doesn't count against your annual contribution limits.
Right.
So that extra cash you're paying your 401k is literally putting more money in your 401k while you get the advantage of diversification away from the stock market. Because you have to realize that when you take that 401k loan, you're actually physically removing that cash from the market. Right. So you're not actually investing anymore in the stock market. You're getting that cash. It's not like a leveraged account where there's margin calls and things like the whole other episode, or a text stock account where you could borrow against your plan and the money stays in the market and then you can go use that money for something else. This is literally coming out of the market. You're selling whatever shares you're in or whatever positions you're in. You're getting that cash. You're paying yourself the interest, and then you're putting more money in your 401k from an annual basis because you're paying yourself the interest. And the last thing I'll say is, before I turn it back to you, Tait, because I know you really want to jump in, is the limits. You can only borrow 50%, 50, of your 401k plan, or $50,000, whichever is less. So if you've got a 401k plan with 100 grand, great, you can borrow 50. If you got a 401k plan with 50,000 in it total, you can only borrow 25. So whatever that limiting number is, that's your amount. And the last thing I guess I'll say is my airline, I think Alaska charged me $100 to set up mine. And then I don't know what Delta's is. And usually the airline,
and I believe ours is free.
Yeah, yours is free.
So it just depends on the plan provider.
It's like $100. There's like an admin fee for setting it up. So a lot of really creative things to do with that. But Tait, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing on the limit. So if you currently have a 401k loan out and you've paid it down, you took a $50,000 general purpose loan. We'll get into general purpose versus primary residence in a second here. But if you took a general purpose loan and you've paid it down, it was $50,000, you've paid it down to, let's say, $35,000. You can go and get a new loan. However, you're limited to the difference between the current balance and the maximum 12 months ago. So whatever your loan balance, if it was $42,000 12 months ago, then you'd be able to borrow $8,000. So you can sort of re-up quicker. And that's actually what I did on this last one. I think I took a $40,000 loan because it was almost paid off, but it wasn't quite paid off. And I unlocked that money and put it into a syndication deal that, and this is the reason why, Ryan is saying don't go buy a boat with it, because it's being taken off of the fire in the stock market, right? And if you think the stock market is going to do well over the next 12 to 60 months, then, maybe leave it there. But if you think you can do better somewhere else, you're paying yourself the interest, and that additional interest it's supercharging your contributions. Because if you can only contribute $22,000, or in my case, last year I was only able to contribute, I think, $13,000. If I wanted to, as it stands, I actually don't contribute because I would rather invest in real estate. The company's putting plenty of money in there anyway, but I would only have room for about $13,000. So by taking this 401k loan and paying the interest back to myself, what do we do the calculator? It ends up being about, if you pay it back over 5 years at the current interest rates, which are quite high, it ends up being about $20,000 extra dollars that's going in there.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah,
and
excellent.
So what's great? Yeah, and what's great is some of the downsides. Let's get into the downsides, right?
For sure.
If you're thinking, oh, this is awesome, so I can borrow against my 401k, I can take $50,000 out, and I could invest it in a syndication with Tait or Ryan and do a deal. And their deal says that there's going to be monthly cash flow of, let's say, 8%. So your 401k loan, $50,000, 8%. That's $333 a month. That's what you're going to be potentially receiving in income, assuming that the investment is paying that coupon, right? The reality, though, is, one of the pilot questions is your investment going to be able to cover my 401k loan payments every month? Yeah. And the answer right now is no, because the prime rate at 8.25 plus 1%, usually is what they tack onto that, is 9.25,
and it's amortizing.
And it's amortizing, and it's over a 5-year period. So that is a very, very fast loan. So the IRS lets you do this loan, but what's great, what they want to know is they want to know that they want you to put the money back into the 401k plan, pretty quickly. So that's about $1,000, $1,020 a month.
$37.92. So about $1,040 a month.
Yep. So when you think about, hey, can I cover my payments? The answer is likely no. And if you find an investment where you can cover your payments, please give us a call, because we're interested in that investment. That would be a pretty high yielding, and I'm talking cash flow. I know that upside is going to be better, right?
Right. But this is just short-term cash flow.
Yeah, short-term cash. If you have an investment that pays better than that short-term cash flow, please give us a call, because it probably doesn't exist. But if it does, I want to know about it. And so you're going to have to budget for that. So if your living expenses aren't in line with being able to pay that 401k loan every single month, you might want to evaluate that and just make sure your cash flows are okay and that you can afford that extra. I guess it might be even $600 to $700 a month, maybe even more, depending on the deal that you invest in, to do that. So keep that in mind. The other thing is if you resign or move employers, you kind of have like a due on sale or a due on when you quit clause. Mm-hmm. So that has to be paid back when you leave or get terminated from employment. So, there are some risks in the investment or into the loan if in the event you were to leave or you can't make your monthly payments. So just make sure that you're well aware of that and you've got that planned out.
You might want to also ask your ask your administrator if you can suspend loan payments during a leave of absence, because we've done some research and it really just depends on the plan administrator. The IRS says a plan may suspend loan payments during a leave of absence of up to 1 year. So if you're taking a longer than 1 year leave, it looks like you have to continue making those payments back, or else they'll look at it as a permanent withdrawal, which is subject to penalties.
So I want to tell a story about a 401k loan that one of my investors did.
Yeah.
$50,000 loan, pulled it out, invested into a flip, and made 70 grand. Literally made 70 grand. So he got his 50 back plus an additional $70,000. So it was funny. He was telling me the story of how it all kind of unfolded. He called, I can't remember his plan provider, but they said, you want to take a 401k loan? And they kind of like scared him a little bit. Like, are you sure you want to do this? And, you're pulling the money out of the market and the market's doing really well. Mm-hmm. And, he's have you evaluated all your options? So just be mindful. They might do that to you. I don't know if they do that anymore, and he's like, no, I got a plan and I'm going to make some money. So, that is something that you want to consider. So
definitely
when you're calling your plan administrator.
Yep. I think I remembered a little bit of friction the first time I did it, but the last time I didn't even talk to anybody. It was a couple clicks on the provider website. It's actually scary how quickly it shows up. It just ACHs into your account. When I first did it, 10 plus years ago, they actually mailed a physical check and it showed up within a week. But this time it was just an ACH deposit. So very, very easy.
Well, that's great. Well, in summary, basically it's a way to put more money in. It doesn't cost you anything.
Yep.
Budget for it if you do it.
Yep.
Know that it's getting removed from the stock market. So, Tate, you said earlier, if you think the stock market's, if you can do better, then you can move out or whatever. But I think this is really too just a diversification strategy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Even if you think you can match it by doing something else, it gets it, as like I think you're about to say, right? Pilots are so stock market heavy. By the time we reach retirement, we have millions and millions and millions of dollars in the stock market. It's like, I don't need more stock allocation. I want more real estate, more oil and gas, more commodities, things to round out my portfolio.
Yeah, and one of my investors, actually my flight instructor, he actually borrowed against his 401k to do a self-storage deal with us back in 2018. That started cash flowing about 8%. And then we sold that asset and he got back, I don't know, I think it was, we sold it within a year or two. He got $25,000 on top of his $50,000 back. Then he rolled it again, the $75,000 into another deal. And then that deal's about to sell. And he's about to make, I think, another $25,000. So now his 50 turned into 100. So he's already paid back his 401k loan.
And that's just out of his paycheck. Every month you get your paycheck and it just comes off. But the difference between your gross and your net includes, it'll say right there, ours says ALPA loan. And it's just a dollar amount. It just comes off and you never even think about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, it's a way to get the snowball rolling down the hill of something else that's not just your Fidelity plan, right? So super cool way to do it. And we were really excited to talk about this today.
Well, at some point, we might bring in a plan administrator to talk about more details, but we wanted to at least scratch the surface here. So hopefully that helps. And, this, again, is not intended to be financial advice. It's just for educational purposes and to get your gears turning on some different ways that you can leverage your money.
So absolutely. We're not financial advisors, we're not tax planners, we're not attorneys. I think that's really important to say. So you do what's best for you, and you consult your tax and legal professional before making any investment decisions or making any things moving. I think we'll kind of wrap up the episode by just saying, we appreciate everybody who calls us every day and the pilots that we're talking to and the questions that we get. So if you have any questions about this 401k stuff or anything that kind of pops up, or if there's an episode where you want us to deep dive on something, talk to us, shoot us an email.
Yeah, reach out.
What's our email address again?
Currently, we own passiveincomepilots.com, but we don't have the email address set up quite yet. So it's passiveincomepilots@gmail.com currently. And also, if you're enjoying this, please share it. It really helps us broaden our reach. I've had a ton of positive feedback, people saying that it's really helping, that they're getting a lot out of the show. So please share it with a few friends and help us spread the word.
Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.
See ya.